Hello and welcome to the first annual Overtony Awards. Join our esteemed panel of Charlotte, Joe and Max as they discuss the very best of the best of 2022. So the first award we're going to give today, the first ever Overtony Award, is going to be for Best Artwork of 2022. I really struggled with this one. I had a list of like 15 on my phone, and it just kept going and going and going. So I've had to really whittle it down. But I've gone with Avantasia's new album, just because of how colourful and pretty it looked. It's kind of like a traveling stage show sort of aesthetic, but all kind of hand-drawn cartoony stuff. It was pretty cool.
No, I like that. I like that. I'm not actually too familiar with the artist, so seeing an album cover as interesting as this makes me want to listen to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've been familiar with the name for a while, but it was obviously it helped that it was a really good album. But yeah, it just stands out so much compared to a lot of the other ones I was writing down, which were equally colorful, but just kind of felt a little bit all over the place.
Yeah, I think that's been a consistent issue I had with quite a few this year. They're cool, but a little too much. I think that's why I kind of settled on the Dynasty album
Oh, it
art.
was cool. It was like was it a big metal bird kind of thing?
Yeah, it's just kind of like a bird. I want to say it looks like an eagle, but I could be completely wrong. It's just pretty simple, but it's pretty eye-catching with it also. And to go with your train as well, it was a great album. So
it was good.
That just makes it better.
I have to say, I've just looked it up. I do like that a lot. The Dynasty album. I think that's a nice album cover. I think it is an eagle. It's got to be, right?
Hopefully. Or all three of us are wrong.
I mean, I don't really know birds at all, but yeah, let's say it's an eagle.
And then for my nomination, I went with State of Change by Ox. I came across this album purely by looking at the Overtone playlists on Spotify and just thought, you know what catches my eye? What do I like out of this? And I like this one because it takes like elements of their previous like singles and it all comes together for this album. And I think it's a nice way of like linking them all together. And you can see the progression of how they all add up into that one album. So I really like it. Plus, it's very spacey, and I like that.
It is spacey. And again, I think we just all really like colour.
Yeah.
It's super colourful.
Which you don't really expect, I don't think, for like, when you say rock and metal, you think grungy, black, grey, all that. So I like it when it's pretty because it's not meant to go, but it does.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
So our second category for the Overtony Awards is Best Gig, and this is one that we've been to. For me, quite an obvious choice. Earlier on in the year, I went to an evening with Hailstorm, and I put this one forward because in the first half, so to start with, there was no support act. It was just Hailstorm, so that's an extra long set. It wasn't cut down. They just did an extra long set. And for the first half, it was all acoustic. They were sat close at the front of the stage. It was an O2 venue, so it wasn't, massive. It was an O2 Academy. Close enough that you could see them. And for the first half, they did acoustic at the very front of the stage. I was first row, second row. I could see them really, really clearly. They did they took some of their older songs and made them acoustic, which obviously you don't always get to hear. I know sometimes they do that. And Hailstorm did do like a reimagined album last year or the year before, and that was really interesting. But again, I hadn't seen them do that before live. So the first half was all acoustic, second half was electric, and it was just nice to see a really intimate side of them. And I think that's why they were one of my favorites this year.
That does sound cool.
That sounds pretty good.
So I realized that I've done mainly festivals this year when I was trying to pick for this. There've not been as many gigs outside of the ones that we've kind of been to as Overtone. But the one that really stood out to me was Biffy Clyro a couple of months back. Like, it's been a while since I've seen them. I think I saw them at Download a couple of times, but I've never like gone to see them on their own, especially not since I've been such a big fan, and they were fucking incredible.
Like, I remember when you raved about them after you came back. You were so like over the moon with how they were.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it helps that the crowd were all into it as well, but yeah, like every single track they knocked it out of the park. The crowd loved it. And they put on a surprisingly good show as well. Like, they were having a laugh on stage. The light show was awesome. I know, Max, you were saying something about how complicated the lighting was.
Yeah, so the guy who does it, he and the people that have worked with him basically like have a bunch of presets but don't time track anything. So they just, on the night, instead of having like, I'll have this effect and this effect for this song and kind of plan everything out, it will just be, yes, like I will press this button to the exact beat of the song. And with certain Biffy songs, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, that sounds so horribly stressful.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it was just a really good gig. And even like, I'm not the biggest fan of the last album or two. I think they did like a double album over the last couple of years, but it translated really well live. So it's even made me listen to more of it, which you can never complain about.
For me, we all knew it was coming. It's Sleep Token.
Had to be in here somewhere.
Yeah.
What's it going to be? Oh, you better be ready for more Sleep Token. I don't know. I mean, it's that or it's Lorna Shore.
I did hear they were very good.
But as someone who really hated Parkway Drive's latest album, while seeing While She Sleeps and Lorna was amazing, I didn't enjoy watching Parkway.
That's fair.
Obviously, I've had these tickets for like a millennia now because of COVID. Sleep Token was just brilliant. It's captivating. Every time I've seen them, it's been captivating. I got more merch.
I have a confession to make. I was at a gig. I saw Bridge a few weeks ago, and you know how they play music before they come on, and this song came on, and it really caught my attention. I was like, "Oh damn, what is that?" I had no idea. I was with my cousin; he didn't know. And so just a man heard like me saying to my cousin, "What's this song?" So he Shazammed it, and it was Sleep Token.
This is what I'm saying.
There, and I was
this is what I'm saying.
You've been converted to the cult
immediately. It was so good, and I had no idea.
They're amazing. This is the thing. They are top tier, proper S tier band.
You've got tickets for them.
I've been listening to them. Like, I don't know what I've listened to, but I've listened to them.
Brilliant.
You got tickets again next year, haven't you, Max?
Yeah, I've seen them in like 20 days. And you know what? That one might come up again for the Overtonys next year.
I was just thinking the same thing.
I mean, it'd be eligible. So
yeah. I'll just see them once every year so I can make sure they're always the best.
Just constantly nominated.
Yeah.
So yeah, congrats to all three.
Well done, guys. Woo!
Woo!
Good job. Right, so up next, we got Best Performer. So this is for whoever was on stage that properly captivated it. So for me, what energy of that? Like, obviously, deathcore's not for everyone, and that's relatively understandable. And there were people in the audience who very clearly were not there for Lorna at all. But the energy he has, and just the way he like got everyone to move. Because being the opener sucks.
Yeah,
You've got to get
especially a big
everyone's
arena
energy
gig.
up. Yeah, and it went from everyone just chilling, singing like 80s love songs in the audience to everyone just being electrified. And then obviously Vessel does that for me every time. So, I can't really discount him. So it has to be a split vote between the two of them because they are both phenomenal.
That's fair.
Yeah, I accept that.
So I guess I've cheated slightly, but I've gone for a whole band. But it's a band I've seen 3-4 times now over the last just over a year. I think the first time I saw them was Hard Rock Hell last year. So what's that? November. But it's south of Salem, and to see them go from playing fairly early on at Hard Rock Hell to suddenly headlining the second stage at Call the Wild, and then they headlined Winter Rocks a couple of weeks back. Like they've just gone from strength to strength live. Like they put on such an incredible show now, and again, the crowd help it no end because it just feels like every time the entire audience are there to see them, regardless of whether it's their own show or a festival or anything like that. And those guys know how to put on a show.
They are pretty good from everything I've seen of them as well. So I can understand that.
Yeah, I think they're going to be big.
Oh, yeah.
And then for me, I struggled with this one. Like I've been to some amazing gigs this year and I've enjoyed them all, but I can't actually think what have they done to make them a standout performer for me. Like Hailstorm, amazing. Obviously, I've seen the Pretty Reckless. I've seen Hallison. I saw Guns N' Roses, like Whitesnake, Foreigner, Europe. I've seen quite a few gigs this year, and I've been very, very lucky. But I can't actually think right who, as a performer, has stood out to me. I don't think I could narrow it down, and I don't want to just say Hailstorm again because I feel like they would take up every single category for me. I did enjoy Taylor Momsen from the Pretty Reckless. I thought she put on a great show.
She is a good for a woman.
She is. And to be fair, she was suffering with a cold and you could not tell. You couldn't tell in the slightest. I think I've changed my mind. I think I'm gonna go with her because like I saw on social media a few days before the gig that she was struggling and she was going to the gym just trying to sweat out this horrible cold and she still performed amazingly and it was a great gig. So okay, I've talked myself into an answer. I'm going to say Taylor Momsen.
Nice. I think it's been quite a thing this year, hasn't it? Because I know when I saw Evanescence and Within Temptation, both vocalists of them also had colds. Like I think it's just been that kind of freezing over here from October onwards.
Yeah.
As soon as any foreign band come over, they're like just stricken down by whatever illness is going around. So next up we've got best venue that we've been to over the last year or so. And I like outside of a couple of the festival venues, which have been cool, it feels almost cheap to just give this award to a field that's not used any other time.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So like outside of those, the best venue I've been to by far is the Hairy Dog in Derby. And it's pretty much the only venue Derby's got left. I know there is the venue, but it doesn't kind of cater to as much rock and metal these days as it used to, and especially not compared to the Hairy Dog. So I've seen a few bands there, These Wicked Rivers being the most recent, I think. And obviously we saw Derby Alt Fest there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's everything you want from a dark, dingy, grotty, sticky rock venue, really. The stage
all
is pretty
the all the
big.
adjectives you need.
Yeah. Like it's a good venue. Beer's okay. It's a little pricey, but it's gonna be.
Yeah, I like that. I also want to put them forward, but if I had to think of another one, I would say the Bread Shed in Manchester. So I saw them. I went there the other one to see Hallison. I've never been before, and it reminds me of the Diamond in Sutton.
Oh yeah.
Imagine a cross between that and the Hairy Dog.
Okay.
So it's a bit bigger than the Diamond, but it's got that vibe with like the memorabilia and the wall art, and it's
cool.
very cool and quirky. And they're definitely like trying to cater for a younger audience. But it was a really nice venue. Perfect for the size of the crowd that there was. Yeah, I really liked it. But again, I would have to agree with you and say the Hairy Dog in Derby wins by far.
Nice. I think I might have approached this in a slightly different way.
Okay.
The best one that I went to in terms of show I saw and how the overall venue affected it would have to be the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham when I saw Lon Shaw and While She Sleeps, everyone. I'm not gonna say the Sleep Token one because that's an O2 venue, and O2 venues suck.
True.
Why do they suck?
They are. That's the topic for not on this.
We need a full podcast for that.
I hate them. They're crap. Motorpoint Arena, it was a fun show. It's chaotic as hell in there.
Yeah, it
and
is. Oh yeah.
Whatever they were trying to do with organizing people was dumb as hell.
It's a really weird venue as well. Like you can go in the main doors, or if you're standing, sometimes you can just sneak in the side and bypass everything.
Yep, but then they were like sending people one way, then another, had no real organization, but it was fun. Sounded great. Whoever was doing the sound had worked hard on that, so I think that would have to be my best venue.
Nice.
I do like going to the Motorpoint for like general big arena tours.
I don't think I've been this year.
Ironic because I hate arena tours as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of 50-50 on them. Some like if it's a good enough show, then I can kind of bypass it. But
I was lucky with this one, but I've quite regularly feel like it just loses the personality. You know.
I do get that, and I do like supporting smaller venues as well.
Yeah, you probably don't like the O2 venues. One of the reasons.
In which case, are we crowning the Hairy Dog as the official winner?
I think we got to.
Yeah.
Nice.
Best cider.
Yeah, it does have some good cider.
That rhubarb cider.
I definitely didn't get absolutely smashed when I saw these Wicker Rivers. Though.
No, we didn't have any messages, right? There was no messages of you trying to speak English, right?
Definitely didn't throw up out the window of my girlfriend's car on the way home.
Oh, Christ.
Fiance, Joe, fiance.
Oh, true. Yes, shit, cut that.
Careful.
She doesn't listen to this. I'm not going to get in trouble. It's fine.
Jade, if you're listening.
I'm sorry.
Nice. Okay. Well done, Hairy Dog. Woo!
Woo, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a festival this year, very, very sadly. So I don't really have an answer for this one.
Yeah,
obviously we were going to do Rocking the Bowl, weren't we? Until it got cancelled.
Yeah, unfortunately, it got cancelled, and then it jumped between like 2 or 3 different venues, one in Chesterfield, one at the church, which was really, really great of them, and I'm sure they did a great show. But no, I didn't get the chance to go, unfortunately.
I think we should probably skip this one because I've only been to Slam Dunk, so
Slam Dunk is sick though.
Slam Dunk
I've heard good things.
I'm gonna have to get tickets for next year.
So yeah, Motion City soundtrack were amazing. So
what about you, Joe? You've been to a lot of festivals this year.
I've done a couple, and I kind of feel bad. Like I feel like I'm gonna have to shout out Call of the Wild because it was very good. You know, just to kind of give bands like Massive Wagons and all these kind of smaller bands like South of Salem as well, like we mentioned earlier, a bigger platform and a big stage and a bigger crowd to kind of do their thing on. Massive Wagons brought the whole pyro and all that kind of thing as well, which was cool.
Yeah.
But the long road to me stood out more than any. And here we go. Here's Joe getting into some country again. Sorry. But it just catered to everyone. Like they had a American muscle car show. You could play horseshoes, you could drink moonshine. Like it very much catered to everything you'd think about when you think of country music and the south of the US and all that kind of thing. It felt like it brought it to the UK quite nicely.
Nice. I like that.
And you could bring dogs in, which was always great. Just walking around and seeing.
Oh, bonus.
Mm.
I think that wins in itself.
Just for the dogs.
Yeah.
The hairy dogs.
Oh.
Nice. So we're crowning Long Road as the winner.
Yeah, can do.
Yeah.
Nice. So another category that we're going to look at is Best Newcomer. And for me, I put Kim Janet. She's been on the scene for a few years, but she lived in LA, I think. And now she's back in the UK, and I think you can really see her taking on a whole new stance in her career. Like she's been touring with Revival Black. She's announced that she's going to continue doing solo stuff. She's set up her Patreon, just her whole social media. I feel like she's taken, I don't want to say taking it seriously as if she didn't before, but I do think she's putting extra time into it. And I'm excited to see where she's going to go with it.
Yeah, her social media is like real top of the game stuff at the minute. She's doing great on it.
Yeah. So I know she's not like maybe technically a newcomer because she's done the Voodoo Woman in previous years, but as far as Kim Janet solo artist goes, I think this year she did bits for her own career, and next year she'll be even bigger. So I'm going with Kim Janet.
I was going to say I'm really excited to hear what she comes out with next year because I think she's doing her solo stuff again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Even though I have to admit I was a little shocked that she didn't stick around with Revival Black.
I was so shocked.
Especially with her being on the podcast the other week, it felt like she was hinting at staying, but couldn't say that yet.
Yeah. I'd love to know, the manager conversations there. I don't know. Maybe she just wanted to dedicate more time to her own solo career. I don't know. Because if she was with Revival Black, maybe she would have felt, Revival Black and Kim Janet, but maybe the Revival Black are looking to just be Revival Black.
Yes, exactly.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
So I've gone with a band that seemed to have blown up the last few months out of nowhere. Raptors, I think they're pronounced, even though there is not a hint of an A in there.
Yeah, Raptors.
But I first saw them at Call the Wild, and they were great. Very kind of, I guess it's metalcore. Like there's a lot of hard rock in there as well, but it's heavier hard rock, especially for the new wave of classic rock scene.
Yeah.
But they put out an album about a month afterwards, and it was great. And yeah, all the reviews have been great. We reviewed them pretty high. I think they're on our top 50 albums somewhere. And I keep seeing I think they got top 30 or 40 in Metal Hammer's albums of the year as well, which is a pretty big deal in the UK, especially for a band that have just put out a singular album.
Oh yeah, that's massive.
So
no, I agree. I think those two are quite high up.
Have you got one, Max?
I think I'm fully cheating, but I don't care. They're not a new band at all. But I think they deserve this spot for the musical shift they've done.
Okay.
It's a band called Pale Dusk. They used to be proper metalcore, very screamy, breakdowns left, right, and center. But this year, and maybe going back to the end of last year, their music styles really changed into being now just being on drugs. One of their songs, Slay, has a saxophone solo in the middle of a metal song. It's just fun. It's weird, but it's creative and it's really cool. And especially to now, I guess the weird hybrid genre they now exist in, they deserve newcomer. They are new to that, and I think they do deserve that spot.
I am gonna have to check this out. That sounds sick.
Yeah, I want to check it out. I think you're definitely 100% cheating, but because you've backed it up so well, I'll allow it.
Hey, they had like no lessons at the beginning of this year. I'm gonna defend this point.
Yeah, the name rings vague bells, but it might have just been from this year.
I've mentioned them to you relatively recently, but they are very good. And they've like started getting in with like bands like Alpha Wolf and Polaris.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so
So the next award is going to be Best Return to Form by a band. And my nomination is probably going to, piss off half the rock community, but I don't care because it's an amazing album. It's Nickelback. And it's I can't really even justify it. Like San Quentin is an amazing single. Yes, the other couple of singles have been a bit kind of slower and balladier and countryer and that kind of thing. But overall, like there's 3 or 4 heavier, amazing tracks on the album. And it's made me really hope they tour over here next year because I am desperate to see them live.
I mean, I can't disagree. Whilst it does pain me to say,
Wait, what's the beef
new
with
album
Nickelback?
was good. It's just Nickelback, man.
What's wrong with that?
It's just such a
Nickelback
meme that you have to hate them.
It's like part of my DNA. Because also they have made some banging songs, but at the same time, it is Nickelback.
I saw Nickelback like, oh my god, 10 years? No, not 10. Surely not 10 years ago. 8 years ago. I know. I'm gonna go with 8 years ago, and I loved them. I thought they were great.
I think the issue comes down to a lot of the like hyper sexualized content.
True.
Oh yeah, that maybe not so much.
Other than that, this album bangs. It was great, which I guess leads on to mine. And it depends how you want to take it. Like Nickelback's album, annoyingly enough, was quite good.
It was good.
Not generally my kind of music, but it was good fun. But then, if I'm allowed it, I'd say Casey, who are a Welsh band who've just come off of hiatus, like quite a long hiatus, and have put out a single. Which, like,
I'm not too familiar with them.
That's understandable. They're not huge. They should be. They're very good, but I think like the single they just put out really overshadows all of their previous music. It is so good.
I think you brought it up on the last podcast, and since then I have gone away and checked it. It's a very good song.
Right. So if I'm allowed it, I'd say Casey, because I guess it's a return to form. They're back.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Doing stuff, and they're great. So
is it just the one song that they put out
so far? Yeah,
back. Right.
So far,
have they got any plans to do?
Well, they're touring, and I'm very upset that I missed out on getting tickets to go see them.
Oh, did they sell out?
It's so quick. Like I think I was at work. No, this was at the beginning of the month when I had stuff going on.
Oh yeah.
So like didn't have a chance to check. And as soon as I was able to, it was like, yep, all the ones sold out. And then it was like, I'll go to a different country. And I'm like, I'm not going to a different country.
Say they've like been on a hiatus and then put one song out and then they've now got a sellout tour. Like that's insane to me. You wouldn't expect that.
It's good,
especially
for
if they're a smaller band. Yeah.
Best return to form.
Yeah, I'd not argue that at all. As much as I love Nickelback to death. Because I can't really think of many of the bands it seems like a lot of bands have gone on hiatus or broken up over the last year or so.
That's
And
kind of
not
what I was
many have
thinking.
come back.
Yeah.
Well, we've got Blink-182 was this year, right? This year's gone by in a blur. Blink-182 did come back this year.
True, yeah. I think
They're
they put
back
out a
with
single as
Tom
well,
now,
right?
right? Tom is back with them, isn't he?
That was it,
Yeah.
yeah.
I haven't followed Blink in so long. But I think I'm happy saying it's a good split between Nickelback and KC.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
I'm gonna get so much hate for mine.
I didn't even
the
realize it
comments
was
are
an
going to
EP.
be mad.
It's not. I don't even think it's an EP, to be honest. This is what
I'm gonna check.
This has been my issue the entire time looking at stuff. It's like, no, it's technically a single, but everything's a fucking single these days. It's two songs on it. If you're selling that, that's an EP.
Yeah, it's not a single.
It's not one song.
Okay,
it's that or it's Dayseeker. So
you've got to introduce the category and then have this exact
Right.
debate.
Yes.
So best EP. There's issues with this because of the semantics on Spotify of what's a single and what's an EP. So my vote is for the Falling in Reverse one, which is Voices in My Head, which contains that and Zombified. Now, this is where the issue occurs. They both came out this year, and they're classed as singles, but the Voices in My Head one is 2 songs. That's not a single. That's a single equals 1. That's what single means. Therefore, I'm putting this forward as my best EP, but also because I cannot find anything else. And
there
if
really
I go
haven't
to
been
anything else,
many EPs that I've found.
It's just been albums or singles. But then, I'd be like, oh, it's this one by Sleep Token. And I'm like, I can't do that because I'm just cheating the system for Sleep Token at that point. What about you, Joe?
So mine is actually an EP, according to Spotify.
Oh.
So I think I win on default. And now I'm trying to pull it up to find out just how long it is to prove my point. 5 songs. There we go. 21 minutes.
That does sound more like an EP. I'm sorry, Max.
Right. You told you I'm hunting through my music now.
But yeah, it's Emily Lockett's new one. And again, it's a bit more country than most of the stuff we cover. And it's very kind of old school Taylor Swift. So I know that that's not going to appeal to all of our listeners by any stretch, but I loved it. Like, I'm big into
You
that.
love your country.
I do love my country. And I love Taylor Swift. At least the first few albums. And yes.
Oh, yeah, her old stuff.
Yeah.
Her old stuff slaps. Like, I'm trying to think of the 15, the album 15. Yeah.
Yeah. 15 to Red
Amazing.
is great.
Yeah.
But yeah, and Emily Lockett's the closest thing I've heard to recreating that kind of sound again.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get enough. She sent it over to me a couple of weeks before it came out, and I think there's a review up of it on our site somewhere. And I definitely reviewed it high. It's a very good EP. I would definitely recommend checking it out and getting it, because I don't think it's actually on Spotify. It looked like it was the previous one is up, but the next one's not out until some point next year on streaming and all that kind of thing. So you're gonna have to just go and buy it, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Max is staying silent, scrolling through his Spotify, trying to find something to argue with.
I haven't liked a song that's actually from an EP all of the entire year. It's all been like, when they release like 5 singles,
and just clump it all together.
But then they still label it as like, these are singles. That's all I've got, and it's like, just fucking release an EP. If you're gonna release 5 songs from an album as single, just release an EP.
Yeah, it's just to try and cheat the Spotify algorithm these days, isn't it?
Well, it's like look at Dayseeker. For their latest album, they released for just singles, 4 songs. The album itself has 11 songs. Like, you've released almost half your album as singles. Just label it as an EP, man.
Yeah.
Let me actually like an EP from 2022.
Well, it was the same with the Electric Callboy album.
Right, exactly.
Like all of the incredible songs came out beforehand.
But then
and it was like half the
wasn't
album.
even on it, was it?
No.
And Hyper was the best song.
Yeah.
If we're gonna argue what makes an EP, and if Joe gets to put forward a Taylor Swift-esque like artist, then I'm gonna put forward Dylan. So early this year, she released her EP called No Romeo, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs in it, and it's 19 minutes and 26 seconds. So that classes as an EP, right? That's an EP.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna put her forward. I mean, she did then go ahead and take half of these songs and like a bunch of new ones and make it an album, which is also really, really cool. But yeah, this EP, I'm gonna put this one forward. No Romeo.
We're allowing it. That's an EP now. I've decided.
You've decided. It's official.
It's the semantics around it is horrible. Trying to decide what constitutes as an album for New Music Monday is the worst thing in the world.
That's the issue. And it's like there's been bands that have put out like 6 songs as an EP, but they've labeled it as an EP and not an album.
But then you can have
you've got
a band that'll do 6 songs and it's an album.
Yeah, but like you have bands do like 6, 7 songs and they're all 3 minutes long. Like, this is an album, guys. Some bands put out like 4 10-minute songs, which is longer than half the albums I've listened to this year. And like, it's an EP, guys.
Yeah.
We need concrete rules on EPs.
I think we do. Should we make a Wikipedia for each one?
I think we should.
I think we could get away with that.
I'm signing into my Wikipedia
we'll do that on the next episode. You have a Wikipedia account?
You don't?
I don't.
I don't either.
Edit things. Like when you know enough about certain things, it's really frustrating seeing waffle on Wikipedia.
That's
Maybe
fair.
I just don't know enough about one subject to warrant having a Wikipedia page.
That's fair.
What are you talking about, Max? I believe everything that's on Wikipedia.
Right. No, we can't get into this because this will take me on a massive rabbit hole. Wikipedia is not a bad source.
No, it's not at all.
Because it has like this entire network of people to authenticate information put on.
So I'm not like... Wikipedia I would be very, very surprised if my university lecturers are listening to this. But I definitely didn't use Wikipedia to get all of the information I needed and then just used the sources that were in the Wikipedia
on
article.
Wikipedia.
Oh,
yeah. I'm definitely not doing that for my dissertation at the moment.
Oh, guys, no, you're not allowed. We got it hammered to us like, do not use Wikipedia. It's not reliable.
We're not referencing Wikipedia.
Right.
But if Wikipedia's
sources,
if Wikipedia's using
topic
paid articles, I can't afford to buy all these journals and things.
I'm a student.
JSTOR. Just go on JSTOR. JSTOR's an absolute godsend.
True.
Anyway.
So best EP, we've got No Romeo by Dylan. We've got Emily Lockett. What's the name of the EP there, Joe?
I can't remember. I'm going to have a look.
Okay. And then we've got, well, maybe Falling in Reverse, Max. Maybe.
Yes, God damn it.
Anything that isn't one track.
Well, I think just it's not a single.
It's not a single.
It's not one. It not one.
It not one.
It's not one.
But it not one.
But just to avoid all of the arguments, I think we have to agree it's Joe's choice. It's actually an EP.
Mine's an EP.
Did they label it as an EP?
They did.
I think we go with Joe anyway. I've heard Joe's, to be fair, so I can agree that is a good EP.
I'm fighting this. Well, that's on you. It's bloody good.
We will come back in the new year after listening to both and decide on the next podcast.
Okay.
Boy, now there's pressure on that one.
our penultimate category for the Overtonys is favorite individual track. Now, for me, it was obvious. I went for Hailstorm, Back from the Dead. It was. Oh, I'm gonna have to go on Spotify now. How long had it been since they released new music before this?
It had definitely been a while.
Yeah.
I would say like
Okay, so Vicious
2018.
came out. Yeah, Vicious came out in 2018, which was a bloody good album.
Yeah,
And then Back from the Dead came out this year. And then they just recently released the deluxe version of this album. So I get to talk about both. Such an amazing album, but the title track Back from the Dead, it's so like Lizzie Hale's spoken about how she wrote this album like through lockdown, I think, and how, everyone went through something during lockdown and you have to like bring yourself back to reality and get out of it and get out of that mindset and like find yourself again. And I think it's a really good embodiment, if that's the correct word, of that. And it's just a powerful song and it sets the tone for the rest of the album, which is a great album. So that's my nomination.
That's fair. It is a very good track. It's a lot heavier than the last few kind of releases we've had from Hailstorm as well, which is nice.
Well, you say that, like, Vicious was heavy, but yeah, maybe Back from the Dead is heavier. But then you go back to Into the Wildlife from 2015. Oh my God, that was 2015.
I know.
I was 16 years old. Christ. And they've got heavier songs like I Like It Heavy, Apocalyptic, Mayhem.
Wait, you were 16
Scream. In 2015, Into the Wildlife by Hailstorm came out, and I was 16.
Yes, we were all 16.
I was 18.
I was 13.
Oh my God. I just remember 16-year-old Charlotte just like loving this album. But anyway, yeah, Back from the Dead. 23-year-old Charlotte loves this album just as much. And the title track, Back from the Dead.
Oh my God, that was 7 years ago.
I know. Time isn't real.
No.
God, I'm like old next year.
You cannot say that with me and Charlotte on here.
No.
I have worse health than both of you. I'm allowed.
You do, actually.
Joe, do you want to go next?
I can't do. So surprisingly enough, mine is another country track.
Oh boy.
A band that I discovered at the Long Road earlier this year, and I have not stopped listening to since. It's Everett, Gonna Be a Problem. And I initially wasn't going to vote this because I thought it came out last year. But it did, in fact, come out at the start of this year, and I have not stopped listening to it since July or whatever. It's the catchiest chorus I've heard in so long. And
I'm not gonna lie, I saw this on the list and I was like, I've never heard of it. Checked it out,
no,
and
I
really hate you for it because it is really good.
It's such an earworm.
I know, right?
I find myself like whistling it at work, even though I've not listened to it in days. It'll just pop into my head and it's like, oh cool, it's there now.
Yep.
I'll listen to that on the way home.
Yup.
But yeah, for just two guys, it's insanely well written, and I don't know how they're not bigger. Like, I know that obviously I think it was the first time they've ever been over here was the Long Road, so I get that they weren't going to be that big over here, but like they're not even massive in the US, which is insane to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, what about you, Max?
Well, I think I'm giving you a good old bait and switch here. Because okay. I've said Great Grief by Casey, which is phenomenal.
Good song.
It bangs. Like, I'm there wanting to cry, but also wanting to get in a fight. And I think if I go see them live and they play that mosh pit is gonna be chaos.
And
I reckon everyone's just there gonna be crying and moshing. And I think that's the ideal thing. And whilst that song is phenomenal, I was looking through all of like the individual tracks during us talking about the EP. And there's been one that I considered before, well, like when I was writing my, I guess, nominations. And you both will hate me for this, and you know what it's going to be already. It's a Sleep Token song.
Of course.
They
fair,
did
though.
a version of, oh God, what are they called? They did a version of a song called "Is It Really You," which is originally by Loathe, and Loathe has been doing this big thing of like getting other bands to like cover or like make their own versions of this song. And the Sleep Token one, can guarantee you'll cry to that song. Trust me, I'd know.
I'm gonna have to check that
Okay,
out.
when I can't sleep tonight, I will give that one a go.
It's so beautiful. I understand everyone hates me for it being another Sleep Token one, but it is phenomenal.
It's technically not a Sleep Token song, so I think you can get away with it, right?
There we go. Technically live.
I do love
really
Loathe as well.
Show. Right, dude, that album, I let it in, and it took everything. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
That album, phenomenal. If
So
you haven't
good.
heard it, wish I could give it album of the year, but it came out 2 years ago. So, but that
A mate of
album,
mine went on about them a few months ago, and he was like, "Oh, they're my absolute favorite band, and we should really listen to them." And I never listened to them, just because I just thought like our other
so
music
good.
interests weren't the same, so I just kind of assumed I wouldn't like this one. But if you guys like it, I might have to give it a go.
It's so good.
It is good. And the last award is a big one for this year. Our favorite album of the year. And I know we've been talking about this a lot. Anyway, we've been planning out the top 50 list, which should be out by the time this is live.
Maybe.
But mine is it's got to be Shinedown. Like, they were my favorite band as a teenager. Loved them to death. Kind of fell off the last album or two. I didn't mind Threat to Survival, but attention, the yellow one wasn't my sort of thing. But holy crap, have they brought it again this year? Like, it's a rock album for a start, which is nice, but every track on it's great, and it's heavy. It's got some good riffs, but it's still kind of pop enough that it includes parts from their last couple of albums, but does it a hell of a lot better. It's very good. I would check it out if anyone hasn't.
How would you compare it to like The Sound of Madness? Because that's my favorite album.
I'd honestly say it's up there.
Really?
Like, I'd say it's better.
Oh,
while I would say that it's maybe not got a track as good as Sound of Madness, I would say overall it's a stronger album.
Yeah, I'd agree with that completely.
And it's longer, which is nice. My only issue with Sound of Madness is that it's like 7, 8 tracks.
Yeah. It's not a long album at all. Basically an EP.
Oh, no, we're not doing that again.
No. We should have a whole podcast
Max?
episode on it.
Oh no, don't, because it'd just be an hour of us saying yes it is, no it's not, yes it is, no it's not.
It's just disagreeing.
It's just gonna be me arguing the toss for like an hour.
No one wants that.
To be fair though, Sound of Madness is actually 20 tracks long for the deluxe.
Oh, of course it is, yeah. They've done a couple of reworks.
Just on a side note. But it's because it's the only version I have on Spotify now, which is the one with all the like additional tracks and alternatives and stuff.
I think Diamond Eyes ended up on it, right? And a few other bits.
Yeah, like everything ended up on that. Anyway, mine gotta be Lana Shaw. Like, right. I get, like, Charlotte, I don't think you'll ever agree with me for the album of the year being a deathcore album, but it bangs. It is so good. Like, obviously Will is like effectively become like the face of like deathcore, or like the modern weird animal demon creature noise deathcore, whatever you want to call it. But it is very good. Like,
yeah, I think the fact that it's
such a phenomenal album,
the fact that it's got so much mainstream attention,
exactly,
like, should just attest to that in of itself.
Yeah, like, I mean, also they have a ballad on this album. There is a deathcore ballad. I don't know if I want to headbang or cry.
You can do both.
That's what I was doing. It's very good. And then also, like, I think you have to give credit to the guitarist, who's the one who writes like everything and does all that stuff. He's phenomenal. That band as a whole is phenomenal. The drummer has legs of like steel at this point. It's amazing. Like, just genuinely, everyone should listen to it.
They're definitely going to be the next big thing alongside Spirit Box.
Plus, if you get really into them and you go see them, they'll do To the Hellfire, and he makes the weird pig demon noise.
Ooh.
Very good.
Mixed to what now?
Weird demon pig noise.
Weird demon pig noise.
Listen to the end of To the Hellfire and you'll understand.
Okay.
And what about you?
For me, my favorite album, I had to pick two. I always feel like I'm picking female artists, and I don't want to be the female presenter who always picks female artists because obviously there's millions out there. But I had to for this one just because these two artists I've played non-stop this year. So I've got Hailstorms Back from the Dead, and they just released their deluxe version. So you get an extra handful of songs, which are all amazing. And it's really nice to see that they're like the B-side. So you can see how the B-side has reflected A-side. You wouldn't have this song without the other. You wouldn't have this song without the other. So even if it's not getting the same attention as the other ones, it's still, you can see the development, and that's what I like. And it's just a great album. I went for a bit of a wild card, and I included this artist in our top 50, which I think is to be released soon. And I'm not sure if you two have listened to her yet, even though I've gone on about her, but it's actually Demi Lovato's Holy Fuck. Just because it's so different to what she usually does. She's, we all know her for like Disney and pop and, all that sort of stuff. But this album's completely different. It's really, really heavy. She's got like the range to do high screams and all sorts and everything in between. She's collabed with I think there's Youngblood on there. There's I want to say The Royal and the Serpent.
Yeah, I think
Dead
that's
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many collabs on there, and they're so fucking good. And I don't know how to describe it. You've just got to listen to it. And the production of this album, again, is incredible. And the guitar solos, like she's got Nita Strauss touring with her. So, if you know Nita Strauss, you know that's going to be incredible. I don't have the words to describe how much I actually really, really like this album. And it's so different, and it's heavy, and it's synthy, and it's just a beautifully put together album, and I really recommend that you listen to it and you give it a few listens, because at first I was like, this is not what I'm used to. It's gonna take some time. Within like a handful of listens, I was like, right, best album of the year. I love it. It's on repeat. I cannot fault it. There's not a song on this album that I don't like. You know how sometimes you listen to an album and you think, okay, I like it, but it's not as good as the other ones. Oh, I like it, but I've definitely got a favorite. No, this album, every single track, it's its own thing, and it's so good.
It's surprisingly good. I remember because she put out one a couple of years ago, right? And everyone was like, oh, it's her return album, all this kind of thing, because I think she just got out of rehab.
Right.
I remember checking it out, and the first couple of tracks were great, and then it just kind of descended into the whole mainstream pop sound, and I got a bit bored. So when I put this on, and it was actually rock music, it was really good.
Yeah. And you see what I mean about the production value as well. Like, it's just so, it's mixed so beautifully.
I'd put it up there with like Alter Bridges production for sure.
Yeah.
And
have you listened to it, Max, at all?
Yeah, I listened to like 3/4 of it.
What do you think?
It's pretty good. I don't know.
It's not your thing, is it?
I think compared to like other albums that came out this year, I couldn't include it. Just for the music I like, there's been so much this year.
Yeah, that's fair.
But that's not to disregard the quality of this album, which is very high.
Nita has clearly helped out no end.
Oh yeah, I'd love to know what her influence was, whether she actually did influence the writing style or whether it just or whether she just performed it. I'd love to know. I bet it's out there somewhere.
Demi wrote all this stuff and then went, shit, I need someone who can play it live.
Well, you say that Demi Lovato is also playing guitar, and she's actually got Lizzie Hale's custom Gibson guitar in red. Like,
of course, yeah.
So you never know. Maybe Demi wrote it. Maybe she wrote the solos.
Just quick shout out to the Motionless in White album being very, very good though.
It was good.
I've not heard that. I've not heard it.
Masterpiece is another one to cry to.
It's very songs that you can cry to.
This is the thing, really. This is how you get me to vote for you for any category. Make me cry.
Make me feel something.
Yeah.
It's all over the place as well. Like there's so many different genres wrapped up into it.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal.
Also, how much do you think people are going to whinge at us that we've done this whole award show and haven't given a single award to Ghost?
Well, get better.
I like Ghost. See, I included them, like when I was drafting my answers, I included them for best artwork.
It is a pretty album art.
I didn't. It is pretty, but I didn't include them for any of my other nominations. Whether they are, if we had like a favorite metal album, I would say them.
That's fair. I didn't enjoy it as much as the last few. Like, there's some good songs on it, but I don't get what people are raving about generally.
So just to wrap up, our favorite albums of the year for me were Holy Fuck by Demi Lovato, Back from the Dead by Hailstorm, and then we had Shinedown. Joe, which album was it exactly?
Planet Zero.
Yes.
Planet Zero. And then Lorna Shore, Emotionless in White, Max.
And I return. Oh no, fuck! What is it? Pain Remains for Lorna Shore. And
I can see that.
It's like Something the End of the Earth. It is Scoring the End of the Earth. The World even.
That's it.
Nice. And that wraps up the Overtonys for 2022.
Woo! Yeah. And there you have it, folks. Some very deserving winners and nominees to round out one hell of a 2022. Happy New Year, and see you all at the next one.